yes, your country is the center of nuclear knowledge in sub-Sahara region, and you have had some very interesting projects, including SMR also. And please, Mr. Loyiso, demonstrate for our participants your view on this problem, SMRs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The difficult about speaking last is that everything has been said or you run out of time. Today, it's a bit of both. My slant today will be very different because I fully support SMRs, and I think SMRs do present an opportunity to move us forward. And the continental approach that I'm taking is that if you look at Africa, we currently have very low access to electricity, and we need to transition ourselves to a bright continent. And this energy poverty is really not sustainable. It's something that we need to really move away from and ensure that we've got energy security for the entire continent. So SMRs indeed do provide an opportunity. If you look at the electricity maps, it does show you the carbon intensity of many different countries, and you'll see the green ones are very much decarbonized because they use hydro and nuclear, or one of the two. And the others that still need to move, and I note that many countries have not subscribed to this particular app, but it does show that nuclear presents an opportunity to decarbonize. But also, one of the most important things for me is that if you look at Africa, Africa only contributes about 4% of CO2 emissions in the world. So it becomes very important to understand what is the problem that we are trying to solve as Africans. And my view is that the problem we're trying to solve is energy security and energy access as a primary principle. However, we cannot run away from the fact that whilst we are the least emitters, we are suffering the biggest in terms of climate change. So which means whatever trajectory we are on, we need to stay on course to ensure that we keep our carbon footprint very low. But primarily, we need to focus on energy security and energy access. As we're building 4 units in Egypt and 2 operational units in Cape Town, you can see the Cape to Cairo is really endowed with big reactors. I think in between, we need to have quite a lot of SMRs, and they present a big opportunity to help industrialize the economies. I won't go into detail on that. I think it's been covered quite a bit, and the South African framework, which is quite well articulated in terms of the integrated energy policy and the resource plan for electricity. But it's very important that we leverage on the expertise that we have from our research reactor Safari, which is 59 years old, and the Kuberg operational reactors, which are 40 years old. In terms of the areas of opportunities, there are very many, and that's been stated. The issue of small grids is very important. You need SMRs going in there. However, like I said in the other forum, we need both small and big plants. It's not an either-or kind of a debate. We need to focus on both. Many other diverse uses for application in the form of replacing the coal fleet, especially for South Africa, that is currently about 80% coal powered, heat power for power applications, off-grid applications, district heating, which is not a big problem in Africa. But water desalination is one of the biggest things, and hydrogen becomes one of the opportunities that we have. The pricing of electricity, you can see how it looks like globally. And if you want to hit the sweet spot of the energy trilemma, which is reliable electricity, low carbon footprint, as well as the affordability, you really need to focus on nuclear. Nuclear, you will see the countries at the bottom end of the scale are the countries that do have some element of nuclear. And there's this SMR race that is currently happening, and it's good to see that plans are actually starting to go on being implemented, especially in China and here in Russia. And we look forward to seeing what will really ultimately become those that make it to the top 5, because I believe the top 5 will run the marathon quite well. And from our side, we're saying key enablers is that the harmonization, policy, regulatory, design standardization, and the banking is very important. Implementation, serial implementation does reduce the implementation costs. Socially, we need to have a very clear proposition, value proposition as to why nuclear power plants, why SMRs, and also the skills. I always say that skills follow projects. We've seen when you build in the UAE, there was no nuclear skill there, but we've got an exodus of skills supporting those programs. So skills is the least of the problem. The biggest problem is the projects. We need projects to be implemented and move forward. And with that marathon, I just want to say that there's a strong case for SMRs, both in South Africa and in the rest of the African continent. We need to solve the real problem of energy deficit in our continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for so brief and very, I think, previous slide. Enablers is very important for many future vendors this program. Colleagues, of course, we together with... перейду снова на русский. Уважаемые коллеги, понятно, что мы вместе с организаторами